So in this video we're playing a little bit Secret Squirrel. We're in a hidden location somewhere in England. By the time you're watching this video, these products have just been announced at IFA, but we're getting a look at them a few weeks in advance. We've had a real good look at the new Sony projector lineup, the new 4K Sony projector lineup. So let's have a look and let's see what they're like.
So we will be introducing the VW270 this year, which is our brand new entry-level 4K native projection system. It will be the successor to the VW260 that we introduced last IFA. It's 1500 lumens brightness, and it will introduce a brand new 4K platform to the range, for our entire 4K range in fact. So that will include our 4K motion flow technology, and include our enhanced reality creation, upscaling for HD sources and 4K sources without increasing the noise. We will also introduce input lag reduction. We know that there's more and more 4K HDR immersive games out there these days. Items like the consoles like the PlayStation 4 Pro output 4K 60p HDR signals, and having input lag reduction enables you to play your games as they were meant to be played, without any delay in response to your controller. Also with this range we also introduced a greater HDMI bandwidth, so all of our 4K range introduced this year include 18 gigabits per second bandwidth. That means you can play 4K HDR 60p content as they were meant to be seen.
Now you mentioned HDR. There is no standard when it comes to projectors for HDR. So you're obviously doing your own tone map in there. So how exactly are your models doing it this year, and are they all the same?
Yes, so this year we have our typical, projector presets for our models that were standard in our product range. But we also introduced this year the HDR reference mode. So what that enables is the projector to show the right highlights and saturation for 1000 nit HDR content. So broadly speaking, most of the content these days is graded to 1000 nits HDR, and with this reference mode you'll get the picture as the director intended.
So that's the entry level, and where do we go to next?
Yes, so our next introduction is the VW570. This will be the successor to the VW360 and the VW550 this year. So we're actually simplifying our 4K lamp model lineup for home cinema. So we'll have the 270 as the entry level, and then the 570 as the model above that. The 570 is 1800 lumens brightness, and also includes an advanced iris for an increased dynamic range, so that's 350,000 to 1 dynamic contrast. So the VW570 includes the latest 4K processor and chipset, and this brings with it the latest in 4K reality creation from Sony, which enhances the image quality for HD sources as well as 4K sources without increasing noise. It also brings along with it the 4K motion flow, the frame interpolation technology, and with this model it also includes the HDMI bandwidth increase to 18 gigabits per second, which enables high frame rate 4K HDR playback.
So that's the two models for more or less the consumer range.
Yes.
Let's move on to custom install, because you've also got a laser projector, a new laser projector. Tell us all about it.
Yes. So this year we're introducing the VW870, which is our brand new premium 4K HDR laser projector. This is in addition to our VW760 that we introduced last year, and it follows the same compact size and weight as the VW760, but produces 2200 lumens of brightness. So the key feature of the VW870 is the ARCF, or known as the ARCF, or the all-range crisp focus lens. It's a 18-piece glass lens that ensures crispness right to the corner of your images. This glass lens is the one featured in the VW5000 flagship model as well.
obviously it's an expensive machine, but glass is expensive, lenses are expensive, so that's where the majority of the cost goes for the user that's going to use this projector.
Yes.
But what advantages does an all glass lens bring?
Yes, so it brings real corner-to-corner focus for your images. So with a traditional home cinema lens, you would have some softening towards the extreme corners of the images, but with an all-glass lens, you get true clarity right to the very corners.
And I believe you've got some processing on board which helps that even more.
Yes, so with this model we introduced the digital focus optimizer processing. So what that does is it pre-compensates for the lens profile. So every lens has a certain amount of distortion towards the corners of an image. And with this technology, it will actually pre-compensate for that distortion and correct it in the corners, so enhancing that focus and detail even more.
And when it comes to HDR, again, we mentioned with the other models that there is no standard there and so on, but using the laser light source, what advantages does that give you?
Yes, so with this model we introduced the dual contrast engine with this model. So that includes the dynamic laser control that we actually introduced with the VW570 last year. So that means based on the histogram that's being shown of the image, it will dynamically reduce or increase the laser brightness with a dark or a bright scene being shown. But alongside that, this year we include the advanced iris, so you get a dual action of laser control as well as an iris to really get a great black level as well as a very good dynamic contrast, perfect for HDR.
And is it a dynamic iris? It'll change depending on the scene?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so it is a dynamic iris, and it uses Sony's unique algorithm to create a smooth feel to the viewer. With the dual contrast engine, we introduce 3 different modes for dynamic contrast. So that's full, limited, and off. And with full, you have a greater amount of dynamic control of the laser light source and the iris, and then limited is limited. And then you can also change the overall brightness on a slider as well as part of the control.
So as we move around the range, there's some slight differences, but there's also a lot of things that are the same throughout the range. So can you tell us what carries over from the I'm going to say the bottom model, but it's not really the bottom model, really, yeah. But from the entry model all the way up, what features are the same across the board?
With Sony 4K home cinema projectors, you can expect 4K native panels across the range. So in each of the projectors, we have 3 full 4K SXRD panels for each of the colour primaries. This enables you to have advanced colour accuracy and also a wider colour gamut than you can get with other particular imaging systems. Also with Sony's expertise in 4K and picture processing, you get Sony's algorithms and picture processing across the range as well.
Now the entry point is going to be round about £5,000. That may still seem a tad high for some of our users. So can you explain as to why the entry point is still so expensive? Where does the cost come from?
The £5,000 entry model's value comes from the SXRD panels. With this projection system, you have 3 full 4K native panels. So that's 4096 by 2160, and there's 3 of them. So you get one for red, green, and blue, and that enables us to accurately reproduce colours on screen. As well as being pixel perfect without any picture processing to be able to generate your 4K. So compared to some other lower cost 4K compatible models, which use some kind of shifting or other processing to create the 4K, you get that real native image quality and clarity on screen.
Obviously with 3 panels you have to align those. What technology comes this year to make sure the alignment's spot on?
Yes, so as with our last year models, we have a electronic panel alignment system. So we have an adjustment across the panel, and also we have zonal adjustments for multiple points across the screen.
So wrapping up and looking across the whole range, what is the message that you want to get across about each individual, but also the whole Sony projector range this year?
Yes, so with Sony's 4K range, they're all 4K native projectors, so you get that pixel perfect image on screen. But also this year we have a common platform in terms of picture processing. So we have enhanced reality creation across the range, we have a 4K motion flow across our 4K range. All of the HDMI bandwidth is now 18 gigabits per second, which enables that high frame rate 4K content. And also for the gamers out there, we've included input lag reduction across the range. You can get that great immersive feeling from your gaming as well.
So, where can people find them? Well, how much are they going to be, and when can we expect them?
Yes, so for the VW270, that will be expected to retail at £5,000. It will be available from mid-November from Sony authorised dealers across the UK and Europe. The VW570 will be expected to retail at £8,000. It will be available from mid-October as well. Across Europe and the UK from authorised dealers. And also the VW870 is expected to retail at £25,000 and will be available from mid-November across Europe and the UK at authorised dealers.